Alright, welcome back to TECHNOBABBLE. I don't know that I've ever been so excited about a controller or have done any kind of keeping up with the release of one for sure. But I did this one. It's called the BattlerGC, made by Retro Fighters. It's a modern made USB-C wireless GameCube controller. And I have been looking for GameCube controllers for a while. If you've watched some of my other videos, just something to fill that void because first party controllers are hard to get a hold of. So I could not wait to check this thing out. I ordered it the first day that it went available for sale because I had kept up with the newsletter. So as soon as they had them for sale, I ordered one, and here we are ready to check it out. One thing that I really like about Retro Fighters is their simplicity in packaging. If you watch the DualShock 3 old school PlayStation 3 controller video I did, I had a lot of complaints about that controller, and one is that it came in that clamshell plastic packaging that everybody hates, and it's also plastic, and it's a ton of plastic. I would hope that most people stand on the side of we don't need more plastic in the environment or anything, and so I really appreciate that both Retro Fighters controllers that I have bought now have came in cardboard packaging. So with the controller you get a USB-C cable and two transmitters. It's 2.4 gigahertz, pretty standard stuff, and you get the controller. Now it works with the Wii, GameCube, the PC, and the Wii U. And all in all, the buttons and stuff feel pretty good. It's a light controller. The grip of the controller feels pretty good. It puts me in mind a lot of the other controller here on the left. We'll check it out. And here's the transmitters again, as you can see, which works on PC or Switch. The GameCube dongle is how it communicates with the Wii, and there is a stipulation on the box or the website one that says that there's an adapter needed to work on the Wii U. I don't have a Wii U, so it reminds me a lot of this controller. It's a Pelican G3 wireless. This thing is kind of big and clunky and took batteries. I have another video about it, but I wasn't able to fix it in that video because it has weird posts in the joysticks and the left joystick is very loose, so not much that I can do there to get this controller back up to operational, but you can check out the video if you'd like to see inside of this controller. It was an alright controller back in the day, but again, it takes batteries, no rechargeable option, and growing up I never was able to get my hands on batteries very much. Here's the transmitter for that, and I think it makes for an interesting comparison between the two here. And just how much smaller that they're able to make that. It's also sort of a pro controller. It does not have NFC functionality or like special rumble or anything like that. I don't think it has gyro either, but it'll work. It does buttons, you know, does controller stuff. I think it has a turbo functionality, but I've never used that on any controller ever, so it's not really something that I'm worried about. They're about the same weight, and the Switch Pro controller is supposed to have much more battery life. So if you already have a Switch Pro controller, this is probably not for you. And this controller is probably not for anybody who's super serious about Smash Brothers or anything. I did some tests, and I took it apart, and we'll check all that stuff out as we go through the video here. But its latency is not anything to be super happy about or anything. It is a wireless controller, so I don't think it's going to win any Smash tournaments or anything for you. So as we take it apart, it's actually pretty simple to take apart, and it's pretty well built. It is a very sturdy feeling controller, and ergonomically it puts you in mind a lot of the Switch Pro controller. It also doesn't make you void the warranty to take it apart. There's no screw under the sticker or anything. Taking off the back plate took me a little while to kind of figure out. It has to lift over the triggers, so it was a little odd, especially since I haven't looked, but I don't believe there's any other videos about this controller yet, which is pretty cool. One thing that I see that has become my new lowest low for any controllers is to see the battery pack in this one has a plastic shroud around it. And that makes me so happy after seeing that DualShock 3 from old school with the battery pack riding right against the potentiometer posts. If it puffs up over time, I just feel like I really do believe that it could rupture. But that's another video that you could check out if you want to know about that. Highly do not recommend that controller. The BattlerGC by Retro Fighters, I truly really like this controller. There's no added extra weights or anything like that. It seems very well put together. It's pretty modular. You could probably find a new battery pack to put in this. So I really do like this controller quite a bit. It comes apart pretty well. It seems like it's made well. I mean, I kind of want to gush over it, even though this is just a preview, and I've only really had one day with the controller. And it's just it's a initial thoughts kind of thing. But I really enjoy this controller, and I'm glad that it lives up to the hype that I had sort of set for it, because like I said, I've never been actually excited about a controller before. And I really am about this one. I really do enjoy this controller just from initial impressions. If there are any issues that I find over time with it, I will make an update video, or if anyone wants to know how everything is going, you're more than welcome to ask in the comments. But I'm so happy, I guess, just to have found what feels like a good, modern, relatively cheap GameCube controller. With shipping and everything, it was like $55, and that's not bad considering that on eBay and stuff people will charge you like $60 for a used GameCube controller that you don't really know the condition of. I mean, if you're really after a GameCube controller, like an original Nintendo GameCube controller, you know what you're after, and it's probably not this controller. Now, for average gameplay or to replace a GameCube controller, I feel pretty confident about this. I'm not a Smash Bros. Tournament pro or anything, so I couldn't say how this would fare. But I do have a latency test that I've learned about that we'll go into more details in another video but we'll check out. I run one test with this controller just to see what it averages as. It does 1,000 samples, and it does latency from the stick and polling rate. It's a pretty cool test. I'll link it below if you want to check it out. It's on GitHub. Other than that, I really don't have any complaints about build quality with this controller. Again, it does feel really sturdy. Everything seems very well put together. And I can imagine that's probably part of why it was getting delayed and everything over the time that it was delayed. Screw got stuck here on me, but that just happens. Sometimes you don't get it threaded all the way out of the PCB. The D-pad leaves a little to be desired. I find that happens a lot with third-party controllers. You can't press all the directions at once, so it's good for that. It does have that good sort of, I guess, nipple in the middle of the D-pad. And it works pretty well for what it does. Yeah, the build quality and everything, I really don't know what to say other than that it seems pretty good upon first impression. Here I am connecting it to the Wii and getting ready to play some 007 Nightfire. I think this is a good game for tests because it has driving sections and first person sections. I think it's able to kind of test more than one at a time. I've really found that with driving games in particular, the sensitivity of a stick can be a huge determining factor, more so than for shooters with me. And I don't know if it's just where I'm not that accustomed to playing Nightfire, or if it is the sensitivity of the controller, but I did feel like I was a little loose driving around, and I want to say that I don't know if it's just the way the game is or not, purely because once we get to the shooting section, it felt great. So it actually felt kind of on the slower side, which is pretty good for a GameCube game, and especially when you put newer controllers on older consoles, they tend to be extremely sensitive. So for it to work as good as it did in the first person shooting segments, I feel like it's a pretty big win. And I think it's just me not being able to drive in this game. So here's the first person shooting section. The game has super strong auto aim, which is not to my taste, but it's a little on the sensitive side. I guess I do kind of jump around a bit with it, but it's also a weird game to aim in and stuff. Like, they hadn't fully figured out first person shooting on consoles, it seems like, when Notfire came out. But yeah, it works great as a GameCube controller. It will not power the Wii or anything. You can't go through Wii menus with it, but that's how a standard GameCube controller also is. You have to make your selections with a Wii controller. It's weird how they did it that way, but basically it is a GameCube when you play GameCube games. And here we are using the USB transmitter into the Switch dock to give that a test, and it works pretty well. I play some Mario Kart, which I still feel like for me is a harder test on controllers than shooters because of the sensitivity and stuff, and it felt really good playing Mario Kart. Again, on the Switch, you're not going to have NFC or gyro or anything like that, which I think I've used NFC like once, and it's built into the nunchucks and stuff anyway, so I don't know why I called them nunchucks. The Joy-Cons, but yeah, the NFC is built into that, so this is, as far as I am concerned about it, it's a controller that I think is really cool, that it can work on multiple platforms. And yeah, well, definitely if you're looking for, if you don't have a Switch controller, and if you're looking for a GameCube controller at the same time, I'd say that this is it'll save you on clutter, and it's a pretty good price. They also have a 12-month warranty if you order straight through Retro Fighters. And no, this video is not sponsored. I'm just, even at one day, I'm enjoying this controller this much, and I feel like I usually get a pretty good first impression about a controller, even within like seconds of picking that up. Like, you'll know if the buttons feel bad, if the ergonomics feel bad. Here's the polling rate test, and it's called the X input test. You can get it off of GitHub. I'll leave a link below. It pulls 1,000 samples. You can choose your sample size, and this controller seems to average at around 8 milliseconds response time, and it has a polling rate of, like, what is it, 116, 166. I can't really see it, it's so small while watching the video back, but it falls pretty well in line with how a Xbox Series X controller handles as far as that goes. So it's a good controller, I would say, personal opinion, you know. And that's really about it. I really do like this thing, even after just first impressions, and I cannot wait to dive in and play some more games and stuff with it. I hope to be doing some more streams and getting back into some games and stuff. I just had a lot going on, such as life. But I do my games and stuff on the channel Valhalla's Demise, and my other channels are always linked in the description below, so be sure to check those out. And that's really it. I hope to catch you in the next video. Like I said, we've got some more controller tests and stuff coming, and especially a big one that I think is going to be really interesting. So hopefully, if you're interested in this sort of thing, you'll find that interesting as well. And this has been Valhalla's Demise on TECHNOBABBLE. Remember to be safe and be good, and I hope to catch you in the next one.